You've spelunked into the Matt Cave. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Matt Cave. Thank you all so much for spelunking on by. This week is probably like the last quiet week for a while for me. Because coming up, we've got the college football preview show, which I'll be doing next week, talking about BYU, Utah, a little bit about Utah State and how I think each school will do and how they'll finish. It'll be a good show, I promise. I'll also kind of go over nationally what I think is going to happen quickly. I won't do a deep dive on it, but I'll kind of give you who to look out for in each conference. And then kind of after that, we're straight into college football. Then the NFL preseason will be wrapping up and we'll be kicking off the NFL regular season. Soon after that, we'll have tip-off in the NBA as well as the puck dropping in the NHL. So I will have plenty to talk about very soon. You know how I've been saying it's been a quiet week, there's not much to talk about? Well, that's about to change. I think the universe heard me and was like, all right, we hear you. Get ready. Get ready. You're gonna have a lot to talk about very, very, very soon. So this week is the last where I'll have to be scrounging for stories. That being said, I do appreciate each and every one of you for being here. As always, like, rate, review, all of that good stuff, wherever you listen, however you listen, helps a ton, and I just can't appreciate you guys listening enough. So thank you. And that being said, I do have a YouTube and a Twitch. The Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Matt's Cave, M-A-T-T-S Cave. That's on Twitch. I stream every weeknight from about 6 p.m. Mountain-ish till around 8 p.m. Mountain. And I would love to see you guys there chatting it up with me. I'd appreciate that. And then I do have a YouTube channel as well, is youtube.com. And then you're just going to have to search The Matt Cave Podcast, all one word. You'll find my little channel there. And I also have a Twitter and a Facebook. Twitter, or X, it is at The Matt Cave Pod. And then on Facebook, it's The Matt Cave Podcast. You can find me in a whole bunch of places. Find me, will you? All right, so let's dive into things. First, big news this week for the U.S. men's national soccer team. So during the Olympics, we saw what happens when you hire one of the best managers in the world to manage your team. Emma Hayes was widely regarded when she was hired by the U.S. women's national team as the best coach in the world. U.S. women's national team got her. She only managed about 4-ish games before the Olympics started, so she didn't even really have a feel of what she had. She also made the big backbone play of just not allowing any of the former Glory women on the team, like Alex Morgan. Not allowed on the team. It was a full youth movement. And let me tell you something. During the Olympics, if you did not watch the U.S. women's national soccer team go nuts, I encourage you to go find it, if you can go find it on like Peacock or something, because those games were magnificently fun, and the women barely gave up a goal, and they won the gold medal with Emma Hayes only having managed about 10 games. That's crazy. So, men, you're up. Who are you going to get? Jurgen Klopp already said no, but I do appreciate them actually going out there and talking to him instead of just having a phone call. The guy they have tasked with filling this vacancy, who failed last time, I believe his name is Matt Crooks or something like that. He went to Europe and talked to Jurgen Klopp in person. Not a phone call, not a Zoom interview, in person. That's great. Jurgen Klopp said no, but Jurgen Klopp also said no to a whole bunch of big clubs as well as the English national team. So he's retired. He says he's done. We'll see how long that lasts, but So the next guy up was Mauricio Pochettino. Now, that's a name that not a lot of American soccer fans really know, but they should. So Mauricio Pochettino was the manager most recently at Chelsea and basically saved their season. Almost got them into European consideration for European competition. And he also got Cole Palmer out and noticed by everyone. Cole Palmer, I believe, led the Premier League in goals last season. He beat out guys like Erling Haaland, Bukayo Saka, Mo Salah, Darwin Nunez, all these big names. Cole Palmer beat him. And now he's going to be the U.S. men's national team coach. There's some fine print here that his contract with Chelsea isn't resolved, and if you follow English football at all, that does not surprise you that Chelsea has screwed something up. That's kind of what they do. But once they get all of that figured out, he has basically agreed in principle to be the next manager of the U.S. men's national team, and that is a home run. Like, if Jurgen Klopp was a grand slam, Mauricio Pochettino was a 3-run blast. That's how good of a manager this guy is. To give you an idea of the teams that he has managed, I don't know, Chelsea, Tottenham, Paris Saint-Germain, Southampton, big clubs. Southampton, not so much, but it's still in the Premier League, kind of. They're in the championship this season, but he also coached guys like Messi, Neymar, Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, so many good players, Cole Palmer, Reece James. It's so exciting. And this really is how it should have been the first time. Not Greg Berhalter, but it should have been somebody big, like a Mauricio Pochettino. You do not go small when you're hosting the World Cup and you have what people are calling the golden, air quotes, golden generation for your nation. I don't think this is the golden generation for U.S. men's national team. For it to be a golden generation, they have to win something, and all that they've done is win CONCACAF, which, yes, geographically they are limited on what they can actually win, but when they get into Copa America or the World Cup, they choke and they fall away. Well, under Mauricio Pochettino, I'm excited to see what he does, because nobody's position is safe. He's going to come in and he's going to do it his way. And he's going to look at players like Pulisic, McKennie, Adams, Musa, Weah, Turner, Robinson, Dest, all of these different guys that have been basically penned in as starters and saying, all right, you got to earn it. He's based in Europe, and he's going to be watching. And if you don't impress him, you're not going to play for him. You're not even going to get called up. So, that's awesome. Mauricio Pochettino is also Argentinian, if you care. I don't. He could be from, Madagascar. I wouldn't care. He has the chops. If you can't tell, I'm excited by this hire. This is going to be great. Once they get that garbage with Chelsea figured out, this is going to be great. I'm very excited to see what he does. I'm excited for him to put his fingerprint on the team. All of this being said, there is an international break in September, next month. He will not be managing the team there. It's going to be a former U20 coach, and that's also good news because that guy coached the bulk of the men's national team that's there right now when they were in the under-20 squad. Guys like Pulisic, McKennie, Musa, Adams, all of those guys played under this guy. So we're in good hands going up to the World Cup. That's what we need to hear as soccer fans in the U.S. Finally. This should have been done 2 years ago, but hey, they got it right this time. All right. So, actually good news. Now we move on to the Utah Hockey Club. So recently, before training camps start for the NHL, a bunch of writers and beat writers and stuff got together for NHL.com, and they are ranking the best teams in the NHL. They start from the bottom and move their way up. And at number 24 is your Utah Hockey Club. And mine. I think that's a little low. I think they're underrating the moves that Bill Armstrong has made. And they're also underrating the fact that Ryan Smith went ahead and kept the brain trust together instead of just firing everyone and starting from scratch. He also upgraded the roster very well, and there's a good youth injection that should be coming pretty soon from the previous drafts that the Coyotes had. A lot of things need to break right for this team. They're in the same division as my Colorado Avalanche. It's a very tough division, but I think that division is aging. And so there is opportunity here for the hockey club to move up, to make the playoffs. Personally, I made this call on Radio Ronin a month ago. I do think that the ceiling here for this team is the playoffs. I think they can make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Obviously, if injuries to key players happen, which they always do every year, there's not the depth that you would like behind them yet. But that's also could be a blessing in disguise, because then that would give more ice time to the younger guys. And so when next season, not this season, but the next season rolls around, they're going to be even better. And they have all of that cap space still. So they can absorb a bad contract from a team and then get a high draft pick. They can do this sort of thing. They could maneuver and get good pieces, and then in the next free agent class, land a grand slam. Like, the future's very exciting for the Utah Hockey Club. And looking at a rating like this makes me feel like they're discounting it because they're putting too much stock in the change of scenery. The Delta Center is going to be popping when the hockey club plays at home. Good or bad, this first season, there's a lot of people that want to go just to experience an NHL game. Ryan Smith wants to put on a show every night. This is going to be a fun season. Good or bad on the ice, it'll still be a fun season. And so guys like Logan Cooley, Josh Doan, still makes me smile every time I say it, because that's that's the name of my best friend. But it'll be a very good season, honestly. And so this is more fuel for the fire for the players as well as for the coaching staff and front office, because there's nothing to lose when you have no expectations. And I know this has been said many, many times, and it's getting old, but the Vegas Golden Knights, when they were first, their first iteration, making it to the Stanley Cup Finals, they were the Misfits or the Island of Misfit Toys, whatever you wanted to call them, the Rejects. This team for the Utah Hockey Club is a little mad. They're mad that the people of Arizona didn't come out and play. They're mad at former ownership not doing anything right. And they're mad because nobody really respects them. Now they kind of have the juice of a young owner that wants to make noise, make some waves in the NHL. I think there is something here for this club. I really, really do. So keep your eyes out. I think number 24, pretty low. So I buy stock in this team. If not this year, then next year. Because they are on the uptick, and they made a lot of brilliant moves this offseason, and I only see that getting better next offseason when the free agent class is better. And it's different for the hockey club than it is for the NBA. I've said this a couple of times. The free agent market for the NHL will actually want to come here for a few reasons, but chief among them is because it's a new market, it's juiced, the fan base wants to come out and see you. You want to put your stamp. You want to be the face of a brand new franchise. There's not really much competition for it right now. And so this next offseason, after there's been some ice under the blades here, it's going to get good. So rate them low while you can, NHL.com and all you beat writers over there. We're coming, and it's going to be fun. All right, so let's move on to Madden. I will not be getting Madden. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. I've seen a couple of things online about Madden. The game speed is slower than EA Sports College Football. The franchise mode has not been touched in any meaningful way. It's still all about Ultimate Team. It's all about MUT, Madden Ultimate Team. I don't care. Like, EA has destroyed the Madden franchise. It used to be the best one. That's why the NFL went to it. It was the best one. 2001 to about 2010, I would say, was the best years of Madden. After that, it's just been downhill and garbage. Since the advent of the Ultimate Team and all of that stuff, people need to stop playing that and paying that. Stop. It's not worth it. All of that stuff you get is worth literally nothing. Those digital trading cards, all of those little pretty purple cards that you get. Oh, I got a Christian McCaffrey, or ooh, I got a Pat Mahomes. Oh, is that a Fred Warner? It doesn't matter, because next season you're going to do it all over again, and you're just throwing your money down the toilet. I know you spelunkers don't really need to hear me say this because you don't do it, but people out there need to stop playing these Ultimate Team modes. They're not fun. They're a waste of money. If you want to play online versus, just do play now. If you want to do an online franchise mode, guess what? They've got those. I know franchise mode in Madden sucks, but if you're playing with actual people and you're making trades with real people, it's fun. It's like a fantasy league with no stakes, right? There's no money on the line. There's no, if you finish last place, you have to go, embarrass yourself. I'm grateful my league doesn't do that. And so if we just stop paying for this Ultimate Team junk and we just start talking with our wallets, EA is going to have to listen. So don't get Madden. Don't do it. Don't. There has been no meaningful updates to this game. EA doesn't want to make updates to this game because that would mean they have to spend money on it. EA doesn't do that anymore. Any huge publishing house, and I talked about this last week, doesn't spend money on games anymore. If they have to spend money on games, 3 months after the game launches, they're going to cut that entire team that worked on the game. So my message to you Spelunkers and any new Spelunkers in here is simple. Stop supporting AAA studios unless it's a game you know you're going to love. Which is kind of a cop-out for myself, but it's also not, because I'm going to be getting the new World of Warcraft. I got the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion. So I'm guilty of supporting AAA myself, but not to the extent where I just mindlessly purchase the next Call of Duty. Sorry, Radio Ronin, but I don't do that. They have a better reason for getting it because it's how they bond. For me, I don't do that. It's the same thing with Halo. I haven't played Halo since I beat the campaign, 3 years ago, almost? So just do yourself a favor. Buy the games that look interesting to you, regardless of studio size or developer team size. Just have fun. Somewhere along the way, we have forgotten that video games are meant to have fun, to have an escape. All of a sudden, we all want to be movie critics. We want to bash on this creation because it's not like X or Y. How about you judge it on its own merits? Does it look interesting to you? Yes? Okay, buy it. Did you have fun? Yes? Then it was worth your money. That's as simple as it gets. It doesn't need to be a masterpiece. Every game does not need to be an Elden Ring. Every game does not need to be World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. It doesn't have to be that good. Would it be nice? Sure, but that's impossible. That's an impossible standard for anyone to keep. Which is why Cyberpunk was such a tragedy when it launched. Because Cyberpunk 2077 is an excellent game now. CD Projekt Red felt rushed to get it out. And so they launched it with a bunch of tech issues. You can look it up online. If you bought it for PS4 or Xbox One, you could not run it. And even if you could, it was unplayable. And then on PC, it was glitchy, stuttering, crashing your system, all sorts of things. But now that it's had time to breathe, that they've had a public quality assurance test, it's a fantastic game. I say get it and get the DLC, Phantom Liberty. It is fantastic, but you have to be of the age. It is a very mature game. Very. So parents, I'm warning you. You know your kids better than I do, but it is very mature. Nudity, blood, gore, limbs flying off, all swears up the wazoo. And yeah. But it doesn't have to, every game doesn't have to be that. No Man's Sky is another example. It is a fantastic game now. When it came out, it was not what was promised. I still thought it was a lot of fun. And I thought I got my money's worth out of it, and I enjoyed it. But it wasn't what the developers promised. Why? Because they felt rushed to get it out the door. Which is why Nintendo is so good. It feels like they rarely rush their big flagship franchises out the door. The most recent Zelda games, each of them have been fantastic. most recent Mario games, same thing. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is such a fun and relaxing game. It's a side-scroller like classic Mario. There's new stuff in it. There's a new hat you can get, new power-up. It's so much fun. If you don't want that, you can play Super Mario Odyssey. And then there's also Kirby. The Kirby games are just fun and relaxing and silly. You don't need a dark and depressing story to grab people. I don't know where that came from, but you don't need it. All of that being said, don't get Madden anymore. Don't do it. Punish the NFL. Punish EA for having exclusivity. Once exclusivity got to Madden, that is when the franchise fell apart. Because there was no competition, EA got all of this free money. They continue to get free money from Madden Ultimate Team, and so they don't feel a need to improve the game. Don't do it. Just don't do it. All right, so that's the show this week, everybody. Again, another short one, but that's about to end. How I'm going to be structuring my shows moving forward, you'll kind of notice it, and I'm going to do my best. Obviously, these are maximum 30-minute shows. Sometimes I go a minute or two over. So I'm going to be doing my very best to keep myself boxed in to a few minutes on each subject. There will be less tangents unless you want me to go on tangents. If you tell me otherwise, I'll do them. Rants as well. But as we go through the season, there's only a limited amount of time. I can only talk about BYU football, Utah State football, Real Salt Lake football. We've got Utah Hockey Club and the Jazz. And then later on, we're going to have the men's basketball teams of Utah, BYU, and Utah State, plus all of the video game launches. There's going to be a lot for me to talk about. So if I don't touch on something, forgive me, but I do have limited time. But thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see you all next week when we spelunk back into the Matt Cave.